Hey everyone. So I'm going to do some color demonstrations for you guys with a limited palette. Um, I started using a limited palette early in my career and I've kind of gone back to it. And I want to show you some of the benefits of it and how I use it. It's a great starter palette and I highly recommend it. Um, I'm just going to be using three colors, and these are yellow ochre, black, and cad red, and white. Um, and This is generally called the Zorn palette, but a lot of 19th century painters used it. Anders Zorn was a great one, but Boldini, all kinds of greats used it, and I highly recommend it. Both for just learning how to mix colors, but also learning how colors interact with each other and learning color theory and how to really make certain colors sing using other colors against them. So let's go. Okay, so to start, I just want to go over the materials a little bit. This is a kind of a Tupperware palette, which is great for transporting and keeping your paint sealed up. It comes with this plastic blue lid thing, and it's great because it'll hold down the actual palette and keep it from touching the top if you happen to flip it over in your car or whatever. But and then I have a piece of glass here, which is on top of a wax paper, and this is palette paper you can buy in the art store. I forgot the name of it, but it's kind of this neutral gray color. This is a great setup, very inexpensive. I highly recommend it if you're just starting out. And titanium white, cad red, and it's cad red medium, okay? And I recommend this one because it's a nice primary red. But you can actually use a lot of different ones. Some people use alizarin crimson with this palette, but I like cad red, yellow ochre, and ivory black, okay? So the first thing I'm gonna show you is just how I make some of the colors I make. But I'm gonna start off with a kind of a general brownish color, okay? So red, yellow ochre, and the red is very powerful, so don't need too much of it. You can see it's already overtaken the yellow ochre there. But I'm gonna make kind of a burnt sienna type color right now. And mix it with a little bit of black. And I am not afraid to use a lot of paint. The more you use it, the more you're familiar with it, and then the less you have to use, and the more comfortable you get with it. So less is more. And so kind of a brownish red right there, kind of a sienna color. Put a little bit more red out. And what I'm gonna show you, one of the things I'm gonna show you in this demonstration is how to interact with the colors, or how the colors interact with each other, rather. I like this palette because it's simple. The harmonies aren't too out of control, and so it's easy to stay in control when you're mixing with this palette. Okay, and let me just put a little more yellow out there. A little bit of the yellow mixed with the red, so I want it to be clean because I'm going to mix a green. And so yellow and blue. This is the blue, basically. You're not going to be able to get any bluer than ivory black. So this is as blue as you're going to get, which is great for this palette. It's primarily an indoor type palette. I wouldn't recommend it for plein air, or unless it's a really overcast day or anything like that, but it's a great palette for indoor figure studies, portrait work, things like that. And you can kind of see already that, you know, the green looks pretty good next to this kind of reddish brown. And that's kind of the goal. And see, I'm just kind of opening up this green with yellow. You know, if I had another color on the palette, like cobalt blue with the yellow, that would give me a really rich color. But even just with this green, a lot of times when I'm mixing it into the like flesh tones, I have to mute it. I'll have to use some brown to mute it. Otherwise it's too green. It jumps out. So it's, you know, it's surprising how muted flesh tones actually are. And I'm just going to squish out some more ivory black. And, you know, with the black, yeah, I use black sometimes, especially early on. You know, it's nothing to be afraid of. But, you know, I don't think I've ever used it on any painting just straight out of the tube black. I can put a little bit of red in it, just give it a little more character. You know, it just deadens colors. I mean, you can look at early Monet paintings where he used black, and it's just, in my opinion, terrible. You know, or someone uses black on a nostril or something like that. It just never really looks good. So I always add something to it, and whether it be white or red or something, to kind of make it a little bit more interesting and not so dead and just harsh. So right now I'm gonna just open up this color with white, and that's what the term opening up means, is you're kind of just opening up and lightening the value, seeing what the color that you've mixed together looks like lightened with white. And whenever you do this, you are also, you know, cooling the color when you add the white. So a lot of times you want to adjust it afterwards a little bit, but the thing you don't want to do is just, you know, add a bunch of white to your initial mixture. You want to slowly integrate it out so you don't overwhelm the color. A lot of times if you overwhelm it, it can lead to a chalky color. So we want to mitigate that effect by slowly adding white to the mixtures. And see, I wanted to mix a kind of a mauve-y blue right there. And you know, the term gray refers to the saturation level of a color. It's not a color. Gray is not a color. Gray is a saturation level of a color. So whenever I talk about a color, I'm going to say blue gray, yellow gray, green gray, or whatever. I'm going to give it an actual name, because a gray is, I don't know what you mean. It's a saturation level. It's not a color. You know, this is not gray. This is kind of a blue gray, right? A warm blue gray. Okay, so already you can see I got a lot of interesting colors just from basic mixtures. Okay, I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna kind of get some of that black out of there. I'm gonna make this an orange color, and I don't want so much black in there, and a lot of times I mix this orange, you know, just yellow and red. There's a little black in here, but it's okay, to richen up some of the flesh colors that I'm gonna make. But let's just say that this green is your background color and you're doing a portrait. So what I'm gonna do is open up this brownish burnt sienna color, adding white, and you know, step it out so I can see the values, so I can try to get the exact value of the average of the flesh color in the light and in the shadows. Right now we're just gonna talk about the lights, just because it's a little more obvious and easy to see in this demonstration, but the darks are exactly the same. Okay, so I got a bunch of mixes, kind of a generic flesh color, right? And what I want to show you just real quick and easy here is how I temper this mixture. Okay, you can you know, do it. There's a bunch of ways to adjust this color, but let's say that this color right here is the average flesh value of your portrait in the lights, okay? You can't paint the whole thing that color. It's just gonna look flat, okay? So in order to adjust it and, you know, round the face and give more complexity to whatever you're painting, whatever area on the portrait, you're gonna mute and change the temperature a little bit. So one way to do that is to add a little bit of this kind of bluish mauve color, and see, it just tempers it a little bit. You know, I'm not throwing it totally totally into a different harmony. It's still within this harmony. You know, it still looks like the same light source is hitting it, okay? And I can do that with, you know, I can also do it with a little bit of red. You know, maybe the cheek areas have a little bit more red in it, but this is kind of my base, and it's how I'm gonna gauge things before I do too much on the actual canvas. I wanna have my palette set up so it's easy for me to adjust and to move around in terms of temperature or value here. You know, I don't want it to look like I'm trying this or trying that on the painting. I want the painting to look fluid and spontaneous. So the more sophisticated and, you know, kind of mixed, and the better the idea is on my palette in terms of what the color harmony is and things like that, the easier it's going to be for me to be more complex on my painting. And with everything, I want to move from simple to complex. So I'm going to start off with just getting the basic overall value of the lights, and then I'll make it more complex. But it's, you know, big to small, and simple to complex with everything. So I'm not going to move from this until I get this right. You know, I'm not going to try to get these two things before this is right. And it's the same with everything. And you know, that's why I try to get these colors before I actually stepped out and opened up the general flesh color that I mixed initially, you know, before I added white. You can see I added white last. You know, I mixed the color, then added white. And you know, you can do it other ways too, but a lot of times you have to kind of go back and re-saturate the color because you can get it chalky, right? But everything looks the way it does because of what's next to it. So a lot of times people, you know, in my class or whatever, will have problems. Their colors will get chalky. A lot of times it's because it's not the initial color is chalky. It's because of what's next to it isn't helping the color look rich. So like, let's just say this color isn't looking as rich as you'd like it to on your canvas. What I would do is put something next to it, kind of the opposite, like maybe this color, okay? And, you know, comparing, you know, this to this visually, okay, that's gonna look a lot richer, okay? So it's things like that that are gonna influence and make a strong portrait. Okay, so that's all I want to talk about today. And I'm going to do a few of these videos, so stay tuned.